Hi guys, welcome back to Podcast. So for today's video, I will be reviewing this model. So what I got here right now is a Pop Race Nissan Skyline GTR BNR32 in this Castrol livery. And as far as I know, this car, the Castrol livery, was raced back in the 1990s Macau Grand Prix, and the car also won that race, and it is driven by the none other than the Masahiro Hasemi from the Hasemi Motorsports, which also raced in the Japan Touring Car Championship, and if I'm remember correctly, they also won in that race. So yeah, it's pretty an amazing team and also amazing car, and also a pretty iconic livery because this one is the OG Castrol livery, and then in 2018 the Nissan Nismo GT3 bring back the livery in this Nissan GTR R35 GT3, which also racing in the Macau Grand Prix. I mean the Macau GT World Cup. So yeah, as you can see the resemblance of the colors, of the graphics, of the livery. The R35 GT3 is paying an homage to the OG, the Godzilla here, the R32. And yeah, it is also driven by Matsuda, one of the Nismo team drivers. So that is a pretty iconic and historical race car also. But now let's talk about the Pop Race version first before we get into the Mini GT version. And let's talk about the packaging first before we get into the model. So the packaging itself is pretty much the same as the other Pop Race model. We get to see this very interesting artwork right here at the front. The car itself, and then the model name, the PR64 number 194, and then number 23, this is the race car number, and then the Pop Race 164 scale. And then as per usual with the Pop Race packaging, you could display it like this in this side, or you could also display it like this on this side, because they also have the artwork on this side too with the vertical packaging style. So yeah, that is pretty cool. And then on the back we get to see another artwork for the car itself, and then another blah 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 warning, hazard blah blah blah. There's other stuff that is not really so important. So yeah, that is pretty much about the packaging. And now let's open the packaging and take a closer look on the model right here. Wait, let me take this off, and let's zoom it out and see the details. Starting from the front, so right here we got the standard plastic insert headlights for the R32 from Pop Race. And you can also see the details of the blinkers right here. It is painted in orange, which is pretty cool. And I think it is also a separate parts. Yeah, it is a separate parts. And then you could also see the livery, the sponsors is very sharp, done by Pop Race. You can see the Castrol right here, the number 23, the iconic number for Nissan, because number 23 is translate to Nissan in Japanese. So yeah, that is pretty cool. And then the Nissan, the Honest Motors sponsor, and then we got this hood pin, even though it is a tempo printed, but it's still a little bit details. And then the Skyline logo right here on the hood, and then the Garrett Rainick, the shop that was working on the engine, I think, if I'm not mistaken, and the Reebok, the sponsors, the Dunlop Nissan SSR, the wheels, the Reebok again, number 23, Hasemi Motorsport, the team that was driving this car. And then yeah, that is pretty much it. The sponsors, another Castrol, Reebok, Dunlop, PX, the Skyline printings right here at the center with the tempo printed hood latch for the rear trunk. And then for the tail lights right here is also a separate part, even though, well, maybe if you are a very perfectionist person, you might find this a little bit annoying, because as you can see, this one is not really in place. But yeah, but from afar it looks okay. Like if you are not really a perfectionist person, that this one is okay. And then what else? The wheels itself has a different center lock colors. That is, the left side is in blue colors, while on the right side it has this red colors, which is pretty interesting details, as seen on the actual race cars. And then the tire itself is a rubber tires with this slick rubber thread with no threads right here. It is a slick tires. And then yeah, it rolls pretty freely. You could see that. And then you could also see this white roll cage inside the car, with the interior is mostly painted in black, so there's nothing much you could see. But Prix also offers features, which is the openable features for this car. So we get the opening front hood, which you could see the engine details right here. Let me zoom it in again, so you could see that the details for the RB26 engine used on this Skyline GTR R32, along with other details such as the strut bar and other small details on the engine bay. And that is pretty cool. And then we also get to see the details on the back or inside the trunk. And I think this one is the fuel tank, which is you refuel it through this hole on the actual car. And yeah, that is the fuel tank, I think. If I'm mistaken, I'm not really following the actual race car. That is pretty detailed too, very detailed. And then yeah, I think that's about it for this model. That is the underside. We got to see the side exit exhaust, which is a separate parts also. That is pretty cool, with the Prix imprints on the base. And then yeah, it is also held by two screws at the front and the back. And so yeah, I think that is pretty much it about this model. So this is the Prix Nissan Skyline GTR R32 in the Castro livery, which also won the 1990 Macau Grand Prix. And it's driven by the Masahiro Hasemi from the Hasemi Motorsports. So yeah, that is pretty iconic and very historical history for this car. And I think if you are a really R32 fans, you guys must know this model, and you guys have to have this model in your collection, because this is a very iconic car. So yeah, I think that's about it for this video, and thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.